In a gleaming luxury garage, Marcus Holt, a wealthy and arrogant millionaire, scoffed at Jake Turner, the humble mechanic with grease-stained hands and a quiet confidence. To Marcus, Jake was nothing more than background noise, a necessary inconvenience, beneath his notice. But as the evening unfolded, something unexpected happened. One by one, disciplined Navy SEALs appeared, lining up outside Jake's workshop. What they saw inside challenged every assumption Marcus had made, and revealed a hidden truth about honor, loyalty, and courage that money could never buy. The town of Cedar Ridge was a modest, working-class community nestled between sprawling pine forests and the winding river. Life here moved at a steady, honest pace, the kind where everyone knew your name, your story, and your scars. At the heart of the town stood Jake Turner's small but respected auto repair shop, a place where the hum of engines and smell of oil was as familiar as the sound of children playing outside. Jake wasn't just a mechanic, he was the backbone of the community's trust. Jake Turner was a man of simple habits and sturdy values. In his late 30s, with calloused hands and steady eyes, he bore the marks of a life shaped by hard work, quiet sacrifice, and unwavering loyalty. His days were filled with fixing broken cars, solving problems the flashy dealerships wouldn't touch, and lending a hand whenever his neighbors needed it. His family had roots in Cedar Ridge for generations, and though money never flowed easily, respect for character and integrity was a currency Jake held dear. Despite the shop's modest exterior, Jake carried a past most in town didn't fully understand. A former Navy SEAL, he'd returned home after years in service, years marked by silent battles, lost comrades, and missions that demanded a courage few could imagine. He traded in his tactical gear for wrenches and oil pans, seeking peace in routine and purpose in service to his town. But the skills, discipline, and values from his military days never left him. They lived quietly beneath the grease and grit. The town, however, wasn't immune to new forces. The recent arrival of Marcus Holt had shaken the familiar rhythms. Marcus, a billionaire tech entrepreneur from the city, purchased the old mill and converted it into a luxury garage catering to the wealthy elite. His arrival was a signal. Money was coming, bringing ambition and modernity, but also tension. Marcus Holt was everything Jake was not. Young, polished, with tailored suits and a presence that commanded attention, Marcus believed in the power of wealth, status, and innovation. To him, a mechanic like Jake was a relic, part of the past he wanted to outpace. His flashy garage featured the latest diagnostic machines, neon lights, and VIP lounges. But Marcus saw the world through a narrow lens. Success was measured in dollars, speed, and image. The two men represented more than themselves. They symbolized a clash of values. Jake's world was built on loyalty, patience, and grit. Marcus's was about efficiency, competition, and appearances. Their paths crossed one chilly autumn morning when Marcus brought in his prized vintage sports car, complaining of a mysterious engine fault. Inside Jake's cluttered shop, the contrast was stark. Marcus's sleek vehicle gleamed under the flickering fluorescent lights, while old posters of naval ships and flags adorned the walls. Marcus barely hid his disdain as Jake wiped his hands on a rag and approached. "Look, I don't have all day," Marcus said curtly. "Fix it fast and don't mess it up. I've got clients waiting." Jake met his gaze calmly. "I'll do what needs to be done, but quality takes time," Marcus scoffed, barely disguising his irritation. To him, Jake's steady pace and humble demeanor were obstacles, proof of inefficiency and old-fashioned thinking. The wealthy clientele who frequented Marcus's garage were impatient and entitled. They wanted instant results and sparkling facades, not grease-stained boots and steady hands. As Jake worked on the car, the community watched with quiet curiosity. Whispers circled around the town. Who was this billionaire with his flashy toys? And what did he know about hard work? The mechanic's reputation was solid, built on decades of trust and service. But the arrival of Marcus threatened to upset that balance. The stakes were clear. For Jake, it wasn't just about fixing engines. It was about preserving the dignity of honest work, protecting a way of life that valued respect over riches. For Marcus, it was about dominance, innovation, and proving that old ways belonged in the past. This tension simmered beneath the surface, occasionally sparking in sharp words, cold glances, and unspoken challenges. Marcus dismissed Jake's knowledge and experience. Jake resisted the creeping influence of wealth that threatened to erode the community's spirit. Both men, in their own way, were fighting for what they believed was right. Amidst this growing unease, a shadow loomed. From Jake's past, news spread quietly that a group of Navy SEALs had been seen arriving in town, their presence stirring questions and speculation. Few knew the real reason. These men were old comrades, here to support Jake in a time that would test everything he stood for. As the story unfolded, the audience would learn that this was not just a battle of classes or businesses. It was a story about honor, loyalty, and the invisible sacrifices made by those who live in the margins. The cultural fabric of Cedar Ridge, its values of fairness, community, and hard work, hung delicately in the balance. Jake's quiet strength would soon be put to the ultimate test, not just in fixing a car, but in fixing the fractured respect within a town caught between two worlds. And Marcus Holt, with all his wealth and pride, was about to discover that some legacies run deeper than money, and some battles demand more than speed and flash. The days following Marcus Holt's arrival were marked by an unsettling tension that rippled through Cedar Ridge like a storm gathering strength. What had begun as a quiet rivalry between two men, Jake Turner, the steadfast mechanic, and Marcus Holt, the brash billionaire entrepreneur, soon blossomed into a deeper, more complex conflict that touched every corner of the town. Marcus's luxury garage, with its sleek cars and polished floors, quickly became a symbol of change, but also of division. Wealthy customers from neighboring cities flocked to Holt's establishment, drawn by promises of cutting-edge technology and fast service. They were dazzled by neon lights and glossy brochures, but knew little about the sweat and perseverance that had powered Jake's humble shop for decades. Jake watched with quiet dismay as his loyal clients, friends and neighbors, began drifting toward Holt's shiny new venture. For many, the allure of speed and status was difficult to resist, even if it meant sacrificing the trust and familiarity built on years of personal connection. Jake understood the appeal, but he also saw the danger. A community's heart was not measured by profits or appearances, but by respect and shared values. The divide deepened as Marcus's attitude toward Jake became increasingly dismissive, even contemptuous. During a chance encounter at the local diner, Marcus openly mocked Jake's worn boots and outdated tools. "You're still using that ancient equipment. This is the 21st century, Jake. People want efficiency, not nostalgia," Marcus sneered, his voice dripping with condescension. Jake met the jab with calm restraint. "I don't need the flashiest tools to do a good job," he replied. Steadily, "I fix what's broken, and I do it right. That's how you earn respect around here." But Marcus wasn't interested in respect, only results. He launched a campaign of subtle sabotage, convincing suppliers to delay parts to Jake's shop, poaching his best mechanics with promises of higher pay, and spreading rumors that Jake's skills were outdated. The whispers echoed through the town, eroding trust like water wearing down stone. Among the townsfolk, opinions fractured. Some rallied behind Jake, championing his loyalty, honesty, and deep knowledge of their vehicles, the engines that carried their livelihoods, their histories, their memories. Others, seduced by Holt's promises of progress and prestige, began to see Jake as a relic, a symbol of a past that must be left behind. This fracture was felt keenly within Jake's own circle. His younger apprentice, Matthias, torn between admiration for his mentor and the allure of Holt's generous offers, grew distant. "Maybe Marcus is right," Matthias confided one evening. "The old ways aren't enough anymore. We need to evolve if we want to survive." Jake's heart ached with betrayal, not just for himself, but for the values he feared were slipping away. Work ethic isn't about quick fixes or shortcuts, Jake told Matthias, voice heavy with conviction. It's about doing the right thing, even when no one's watching. Meanwhile, Marcus's relentless pursuit of dominance triggered a backlash. The town's elders, custodians of Cedar Ridge's traditions, watched with growing concern as community ties frayed. They convened in hushed meetings, weighing the cost of progress against the risk of losing what made their home whole. At the heart of the conflict lay a deeper moral dilemma. Was success measured solely by wealth and influence, or by the integrity and fairness that bound a community together? Could the town reconcile innovation with tradition? And most poignantly, what price would be paid if one was sacrificed for the other? One particularly bitter incident crystallized the tension. Jake's shop was vandalized overnight, windows shattered, tools stolen, and a threatening message scrawled on the wall: "Move on or be left behind." The attack sent shockwaves through Cedar Ridge, a stark warning that the struggle was no longer just business, but a battle for the town's soul. Jake refused to be intimidated. Instead, he turned to the community, organizing volunteer workdays to repair the damage, inviting neighbors to stand with him in solidarity. "This shop isn't just mine," Jake declared at a town hall meeting. "It belongs to all of us who believe in hard work, respect, and fairness." Yet, even as Jake fought to uphold these values, the strain took its toll. Long nights and constant worry wore down his spirit. He found himself questioning whether his commitment was enough to counteract the relentless tide of change and the growing influence of wealth. In the background, a quiet force stirred: Jake's former Navy SEAL comrades, who had returned to Cedar Ridge upon hearing of the threats. These men, bound by loyalty and shared sacrifice, prepared to stand beside Jake, not just as friends, but as a testament to the enduring strength of honor and brotherhood. As the story unfolded, the audience would be drawn into this multifaceted conflict, a personal battle between two men, a community grappling with identity and the universal struggle to balance progress with principle. Themes of fairness, community, and work ethic would resonate deeply, inviting viewers to reflect on the true meaning of respect and what it takes to preserve it. The day of reckoning arrived with a calm that belied the storm brewing beneath the surface. Cedar Ridge was abuzz, whispers and rumors swirling like autumn leaves caught in a restless wind. Word had spread of a gathering at the town square, summoned not by fanfare or celebration, but by a quiet summons that only those who understood the stakes truly appreciated. Jake Turner stood at the center of the square, his hands calloused and worn but steady, his old boots, scuffed and patched, dug into the cracked pavement beneath him. Around him, townsfolk gathered, some faces lined with skepticism, others with hope, all curious to witness the unfolding truth. The polished cars of Marcus Holt's entourage lined the street, gleaming under the hesitant morning sun. As the crowd murmured, a convoy of black SUVs rolled up, their engines muted but commanding. The doors opened in synchronized silence, and, one by one, figures stepped forward, former Navy SEALs, veterans whose very presence carried the weight of silent authority. They moved with purpose and precision, eyes scanning the crowd before settling on Jake. The townspeople gasped. These were men who lived by codes of honor forged in the harshest crucibles. Men who had fought in shadows where integrity was the only currency that mattered. They had returned not as spectators, but as a line of defense for the values Jake embodied. A hush fell over the square as the lead SEAL approached Jake. "Turner," he said simply, voice steady and resolute, "we heard about the attacks, about the rumors, about the boots you wear." Jake's eyes met his, unflinching. "These boots," the SEAL continued, nodding toward Jake's feet, "have walked paths most never see. They've carried you through storms far worse than scorn or sabotage." A wave of realization rippled through the crowd. The mechanic was not just a craftsman. He was a soldier, a man whose quiet strength was forged in the fires of discipline and sacrifice. The first twist came with a revelation that stunned even Jake. The SEAL spoke of a secret mission years before, one classified but whispered among a few, a mission Jake had led, a mission that had saved lives and altered the course of many futures. His humility had kept the story buried, but now it stood illuminated in the harsh light of public reckoning. Marcus Holt's face paled as the crowd's attention shifted. The arrogance that once shielded him cracked, revealing a man caught off guard by truths he had overlooked. The townsfolk, many of whom had been swayed by Holt's promises, now saw the man behind the facade, a man who had underestimated the power of quiet courage. Then came the second, more personal twist. from the edge of the crowd stepped Elena, Jake's estranged daughter, a young woman whose life had been shaped by distance and misunderstanding. She approached Jake with hesitant steps, eyes glistening with a mixture of regret and hope. "I was wrong," she said softly, voice trembling but clear. "I judged you by what I saw, not what you carried. Today, I see the man you are, not just the mechanic, but the hero who never wanted to be one." The crowd held its breath as Jake reached out, bridging years of silence with a single embrace. In that moment, the fractured threads of family and community began to weave together, stitching wounds deeper than any sabotage or insult. The emotional payoff was undeniable. The story transcended one man's struggle. It became a testament to the invisible battles fought every day in the shadows of society. It revealed how judgments based on appearances and wealth can blind us to the true value of character and sacrifice. Strategically placed here, the story paused, allowing viewers a moment to absorb the profound truths unveiled. This pause also served as a natural point for a mid-roll ad, a moment of suspense and reflection before the final act. As the narrative resumed, Jake addressed the crowd, his voice steady but filled with quiet passion. He spoke not of victories or vengeance, but of shared responsibility, the need for communities to recognize and uphold the dignity of every individual, regardless of their station. Marcus Holt, humbled and chastened, stepped forward. His words were measured, tinged with newfound respect. "I was blinded by pride and ambition. Today, I've learned that true leadership is earned, not inherited." The final twist came in the form of a public gesture. Marcus announced a partnership with Jake to fund a new community center dedicated to skill building, fairness, and unity. It was a symbol of reconciliation and progress, one that honored tradition without forsaking innovation. The story closed on a note of redemption and hope. Jake's boots, once dismissed, now stood as a symbol, not of old-fashioned stubbornness, but of enduring strength. The community, once divided, found common ground in shared respect and accountability. Viewers were left with a powerful message. The greatest strength often lies in those who walk quietly, unseen but unyielding. It was a call to look beyond appearances, to value humility, and to honor the silent warriors among us. The days following the public revelation unfolded slowly, each moment weighted with the quiet gravity of change. Cedar Ridge was not a town known for sudden upheavals, but something fundamental had shifted. Where once whispers of doubt and ridicule had lingered in corners and behind closed doors, now there was a new language, one of respect, reflection, and responsibility. Jake Turner returned to his workshop with a calm he had not known for years.